I'm Kevin. We're at GameSpot. This is Sven Vinke, and you are here from Larian Studios because you want to show Divinity Original Sin, which I'm excited about. It's kind of a return to form for you guys, as it were, from you had, of course, Divine Divinity, Beyond Divinity, Divinity 2 a little bit different, a 3D action RPG type thing, and now you're gone a little bit to your roots, but it's still a little bit different, obviously, than Divine Divinity and Beyond Divinity were. So why don't you first give us a rundown of Beyond Divinity, or not Beyond Divinity? Don't do that. Give us a rundown instead of Divinity Original Sin. Can you tell that I get a little flustered there?
All right, so Divinity Original Sin is a top-down, turn-based RPG. It's heavily inspired by a game called Ultima 7. You can play it in multiplayer, so you have a cooperative game mode. You can play it in single player, obviously. Ships with the game editor, so you can make your own stories like you would do with Neverwinter Nights, basically. It has a very interactive, very reactive world, and personally, I think it's the best RPG we've made so far.
Oh, excellent! That is very good.
But it's
news.
not ready yet. It's still alpha.
But of course, if you are going to follow a template from an Ultima game, Ultima 7 would probably be the one you'd want to do that with, right?
Yeah, it's the one that got me into making RPGs, actually. So
that's great news. Well, why don't we jump into the game
and
tell us about where we are, what we're seeing, what's led us to this place.
We're about 20 hours into the game. We're about level 10 characters right now. I have a party of 4 characters. They're split over the world, so I can jump to them. So here we have my character. Her name is Scarlet. She's about to face a troll. We have Roderick here, who's snuck by a bunch of orcs, which we can find here, and he's about to get into trouble with a trap. Then we have Medora, who's at the village of Silverglen. And then we have Jahan, who's following up on some blood trails which he has found. So I'm going to be swapping around between my different party members throughout the next period. And I'll show you a little bit about how you can play the game. And specifically, I'll try to show you how you can avoid combat and actually really try to have a role-playing experience when playing Original Sin.
How often do you think you'll be splitting up characters like this? Typically, when I think of a party system, I'm thinking of taking everybody together so that if I get myself into trouble, I'll have a full party to fend off all the meanies. What kind of benefits does it have to have me splitting up a party like this?
Well, I'll show you a couple of examples, but typically one of the most obvious examples obviously is taking your rogue or your ranger and trying to get him to guide you through a trapped area. And then the game has mechanics like teleporter pyramids, which allow you to teleport from one character to another character. And it's kind of a mark and recall system if you want, but you can carry it in your pocket. And so if the ranger or the rogue manages to pass by an area which is heavily trapped, then the rest of the party can just teleport to him, so they can basically join him. But likewise, you could have your, like Medora here, she's my paladin. If I boost her resistances to fire, she could walk over lava and then the rest of the party could join her. Or I can get a character that I say, you know what, this guy, like in this village here, for instance, I need to infiltrate in this village, right? There's a secret sect in here, which I'm starting to track. They're called the Immaculates, and there's something fishy about them. I don't know what yet. And one of the ways of actually infiltrating them is getting myself thrown in jail. So I get them, I steal something, I get thrown in jail, suddenly I find myself, maybe I'll show that. I find myself ready to go to a sacrifice, and then the others come in and they say, we jailbreak, and then that's a very different twist to the story than would be the natural flow of how you're going to enter that.
Well, why don't we take a look and see some examples of the things you're talking about. I'm anxious to see how this comes together.
All right, well, that's why I'm here. Okay, so Roderick, we're going to do a quest today, which is called the Troll King quest, and we're going to try to meet the Troll King. So so far I don't know anything about the Troll King, so we'll pretend that we arrive at the Troll King cave by accident, and then we'll see how that follows up. Excellent. So I'm going to show a little bit of gameplay here. So I have here a smoke screen trap, and he has a very low perception, but he still sees the trap over here, which is an explosive mine. So basically, one way where my ranger can help me is by, for instance, shooting the mine. Then you see that it explodes. It was an explosive trap, and there was not much more behind that. Okay. Anyway, so he got here by sneaking behind these orcs over here. And so you can see they can't look at me right now because they're looking over there, and they're very interested in an object over there, so I pretended I was a bush, and that's how I got there. All right.
That actually is it looks pretty witty. It looks almost silly enough that you can't help but smile a little bit. Do you think that having played a little bit of the game myself, certainly there are moments of of real wit. You know,
Yeah.
how, in terms of humor, how important do you think that being funny is to this game,
we
and to the
actually-
series in general?
We try not to be funny on purpose, but we're a jolly group, and so by definition it happens that we put in a little bit of funny parts. Can I mention something? I seem to have a
course.
problem here. I think that my laptop is not getting any power because my frame rate is lower than it should be actually. So this is a little bit of a problem. So I'm lagging here. So if somebody who's next to the laptop could look at the actual frame power cable, that would be very helpful.
We like to have power coming to,
Yeah, so it's running
to
on.
all of the things.
Okay, anyway, I entered this cave here, and so here we have this Troll King guy, and clearly I can't do anything with him. Everything is stoned, and there's not much to be seen over here. All right, so let's jump to Scarlet here and talk to a troll.
That's definitely an alive troll this time. He's not-
Yeah, he's alive, and if I talk to him, what's happening here is I can ask him, he's asking me for toll. He wants me to pay taxes, all right? So, and I say, well, you know what? You're asking taxes for a bridge which is broken. And he says, no, there's nothing wrong with the bridge. And I say, well, there's something wrong. So I can tell him that, look, dude, I'm not going to pay. Your bridge is clearly broken, so there's no reason for paying toll. Or I can tell him, you know what, I'm going to get into combat with you. Now this is a troll, so it's a bad idea to get into combat with him, on my own at least. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to pay you, and that'll be it. So he says it's okay, you can pass. But I'm a little bit of a mean mage, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to summon a fire elemental, and that's going to give me some backup in combat. All right, and now I'm going to backstab him, or front stab him, with an elemental flare. That's going to get us into combat, so hopefully my elemental here is going to be sufficient to hold off the troll. I'm not doing that much damage to the troll. It should be okay. So we have an action point system in place here. It's turn-based combat. At the bottom of the screen you see my action points here, and I can save action points into the next turn. So some skills take a lot of action points, so you can stack them up, and then you will be able to use them. You also have cooldown on your skills, and action points define the actions that you can do and the distance that you can travel as you progress through the game. Now here's a cool thing. The game has been made so that you can also jump in, jump out whenever you want in multiplayer. So I can actually jump back to Roderick, who's still in his cave, and just continue playing while she's in the middle of combat. So I can take this to my advantage. It's a gameplay mechanic that we invite players to use. What I could do, for instance, is I told you about these teleporter pyramids. So I have 2 of them here. This is my inventory and my stats. I'll talk about that in a second. So I'm going to send it using a perk which I have, which is called Magic Pockets. I'm going to send it to my friend Jahan here, who is, he's actually here investigating this beast of burden who has a bit of a problem. And what I'm going to do with Roderick is I'm going to ask him to use the other pyramid, and that teleports him next to Jahan. And then what I can do is I can, for instance, say, Jahan and Roderick, you are now a party on your own. And, oops, sorry, I'll just put my combat log back here. And they can now go off and have their own adventures. Meanwhile, Scarlet is still in combat with our guys. So the obvious thing is that I'm going to ask Roderick and Jahan to join Scarlet. So let's do that. She needs a pyramid. I take the pyramid that I gave to Jahan, and it's going to be somewhere hidden in my inventory, and I'm going to give it to Scarlet. So obviously I'm doing a bit of management on my party here. So I can now teleport my party with Roderick to Scarlet, and they're going to join combat. So basically I now had a real-time situation where I join combat. And this is what would happen in multiplayer also. You're walking around and you're shopping maybe, you enter a zone in which I'm in combat, then you're going to join my turn-based combat. So that's how that works. So I now have 3 guys against the troll, well 4 actually including the fire elemental, so we're in better shape. What I'm going to do is I'll use this as an opportunity for demonstrating a little bit of the elemental gameplay also. So I'm going to start by teleporting him as far away as I can. There you go.
Boom.
So he's on fire right now, and he's obviously not happy. I'm going to save my action points here. And this guy, it's a bit counterintuitive what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it rain. But my purpose is actually just to demonstrate a little bit of the mechanics that are in the game here.
Right.
So, and I have to admit that I'm cheating a little bit. My character here, my ranger, is heavily overpowered. The others are more or less normally powered, but this guy has plenty of stuff in his, well, not him, but the other guy, has plenty of stuff in his inventory, so I am a little bit cheating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it rain, which is not a good idea since I have a fire elemental here. And I'll do it about here because I expect him to come and attack my fire elemental. So let's see if that's really going to be the case. So as I make it rain, a water surface appears. And there's now all kinds of fun stuff I can do with it. The first thing is you see all my characters are wet. So wet means that they're more vulnerable to electrical and ice attacks. So I can take that to my advantage. And the second thing is that I'm going to save my action points, and I'm going to hope that he's going to be stupid enough to walk into the water, which he is. Excellent. So I'm going to fire a stunning arrow into the water. It's electrified, so what happens is now the entire surface electrifies, and so my troll is also being electrified, so that's pretty good. Now I'm going to start by throwing him an explosive arrow. Obviously it's not as effective as it could be because it's raining, but I did create a fire surface here, and you can see that there's already a little bit of a static cloud that arrived. The static cloud is because when we burn water, steam appears, and then when there's electricity on that, we get a static cloud. So anybody who walks into a static cloud is stunned, I guess. Would be the right term here. So these arrows are quite expensive, so normally I don't expect you when you're finishing the game to have that many explosive arrows, but again, I cheated here. All right, so he can walk into the fire, and the fire is going to heal him. So he's going to, but he can't walk into the static cloud, so that's why he walked around it. So, okay. Anyway, managed to finish combat here. I was taking over, and you can see now that this guy wants to say something. That's Jahan, my party member. Mm-hmm. So if I talk to him, he's one of my party members. They all have their own story arcs. And this particular guy is a demon hunter, and I had to promise to him that I was never going to make a deal with a demon ever in my life. And so he's a little bit suspicious about my teleporter pyramids, which I just acquired. And so he's asking me about these, you know. And then I have to say, well, you know, Jahan, if they're really made by demons, we should tread with care. And Scarlet now also joins the conversation, and she can say, yeah, okay, thanks for warning us. So this is a little cooperative dialogue. We'll see more examples of that also.
Now, if you're in the Twitch chat, I really am looking at you. And if you have any questions for Sven, make sure to type it in there. I'll go ahead and ask whatever comes up that seems reasonable at the time. And for now, lol, Kevin doesn't even speak. I do so. But indeed, this is sort of interesting because, of course, Divine Divinity and Beyond Divinity did not have this sort of turn-based combat in it. And it's been a while. Do you think that it's time for this kind of turn-based combat? I mean, it's been since maybe Temple of Elemental Evil that I've really seen this kind of combat in an RPG in a while. So do you think it's time for it to make a comeback? Do you think you're leading a charge, and maybe inspiring other developers to do something similar?
I'm not really sure if we're inspiring other developers, but we certainly always wanted to make a game like this. And Temple of Elemental Evil was actually a big source of inspiration for the combat system, because you'll see attack of opportunities and what have you. The fact is that now, thanks to things like Kickstarter and Steam Early Access, you're capable of making these type of games. And in the past, if you would have pitched this to a publisher, it would have been impossible. So I tried that actually multiple times, and I discovered the hard way that it was impossible. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rejoin my party in town. So I got Medora here. I'm going to give her a permit. That way I'm going to be able to teleport my party to her. So Medora, as I showed in the beginning, she's here in the village, so I'm going to get the entire group to go to the village, and we'll go cause a little bit of misery among the villagers. All right.
Now, you mentioned that this could be co-op before. Right now you're playing on your own and you're controlling all of these party members.
Yeah.
If you're playing co-op, how exactly are these characters divvied among the players? How many different players? Can you give us a basic rundown of what the co-op is like?
All right. So co-op is really, as the word, you play cooperatively with one other player in the campaign that we're shipping with the game. But the game editor is also coming with the game, and with that you can make up to 4 players campaigns. But we've done a 2-player campaign. Or 1-player campaign, obviously. And basically what happens then is you get this kind of image where each character controls one party member and then a number of summons summons depending. So like for instance, if she's going to summon, let's say, an earth elemental here, what's going to happen is you're going to see that it stacks up to the right side of her portrait here. So basically both of us have our little mini party that we're guiding, and we can go wherever we want in the world, and we can do the same thing. So I could be controlling Madora, separate her from Scarlet, and then go play with her also again in multiplayer. So there's no real difference except that you have less characters under your control when you're playing co-op, and you can jump out at any time in the game as you want. I hope that answers the question.
It answers it for me. Let me know if you want to know more about the co-op though in the Twitch chat.
Oops, yeah, I walked into the poison here, which wasn't that clever, so I need to poison, which I can burn. When I burn poison, poison clouds appears. So poison clouds are bad for certain people, but they are healthy for other people. So we'll encounter some creatures a little bit later on. I'm going to show you a little bit about the behaviors that you have. I did a telekinesis here, so I have this ability which is called telekinesis, and I can use it to my advantage. We'll see that in a second. So first I want to show you a little bit. It's a very reactive world, and we made it so that you're really quite free when you're walking into the game, playing the game. The idea is really to give you that pen and paper experience, and not just like one combat after the other combat type of experience. So I'm here in the shop. So if I'm going to try to take this interesting looking two-handed axe, you see that Nadia here, the shopkeeper, she's going to react to it, and since she's a shopkeeper, she says maybe he's not trying to steal it, maybe he's trying to barter for it. So it's a bartering system similar to Fallout 2 if you want. So I have to offer, like I can say, here's my traveling bracers and I want this two-handed axe for it, and so this is worth 33 gold, this is worth 552 gold. So if I say, well, let's do this trade, she says, well, your offer insults me. And then when I look at this value here, you see on top there that her attitude has dropped. I can make her attitude drop a lot more if I try to enter her back room. So she's going to react to that, and she says, you know, don't go into this quarter. So if we now look at her attitude, we'll see that it's dropped even more. If I do it again, we'll see that she's starting to become a little bit annoyed with me, and if I keep on doing that, we're going to get the guards to come, we might get into a fight with her, and so forth. I'll try to show that, but I don't want to go to the prison just yet, because I want to show you a little bit more of that freedom thing. We're going to go and pick up the quest for the Troll King that I was telling you about.
Sure. Now it's worth pointing out in all of this that if you play with these systems in that way, if you were to keep her, giving her more and more trouble, you can find yourself very early on way out of your league if you're not actually taking care. I found, for example, playing the alpha, there's a spot at the beginning where if I try too hard to get into a warehouse, for example, the guards aren't going to be so happy with me, and they're not afraid of chopping me down right then and there.
Yeah, we believe in the intelligence of the player. So if you're seeing like heavily armored guards and you're a low-level character and you try to steal from them, then it's perfectly normal, I think, that either they treat you in a mean fashion, throw you in jail, or if they're like aggressive guards, that they just plain kill you or attack you at least. So that's really like, for instance, here, right? So this is a level 8 character. I'm level 10. So if I'm going to steal his key here, he says, wait, don't give it back to me. So he saw me stealing his key. And actually, yeah, we have a little dialogue that pops up on there. So let's, okay, let me regroup. Otherwise, let me regroup. That'll work better for my presentation. So,
no worries.
That's okay, I'll put it here. Go ahead.
In the meanwhile, who was it that asked this question? Where'd you go? I forget who asked, but Lopiece wanted to know about Kickstarter in general, and obviously the CRPG, meaning the term we might use for games a little while ago, the computer RPG, the Western RPG, as it were, the top-down / isometric RPG, sort of making a comeback, right? We're looking at things on Kickstarter, and you've got this, you've got Obsidian's project, you've got other things like Shadowrun, and so on and so forth. Do you think that this is the beginning of a renaissance for the genre?
I hope so. I sincerely hope so. I mean, I was talking to some other people today, and we're all the word underserved keeps on popping up. You know, we've been underserved for like many years, ever since the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s. Actually, I mean, this type of game for our type of audience hasn't been made anymore because publishers selected a certain avenue that they took, and so they didn't take other avenues, and so they invested their money in evolving those genres. But these genres have not been evolved over the last decade, I guess.
Do you worry though, and this is just a question from me, have you ever worried that, you know, if the genre's underserved, but then a large number of similar games seem to come out at the same time, suddenly it seems like there's a glut of things like that. And so, for example, you might have said for a while that the roguelike is underserved, but I would not say that the roguelike is particularly unusual now. Simply in the last couple of years, it's had more than a resurgence. It's almost become, you know, a dominant genre. Do you think that there's any possibility of the CRPG becoming so dominant again that people might actually feel like they've got too many choices?
I'm sure, because you can see it happening, right? There's a whole series of CRPGs popping up, which probably I wouldn't like to play that much, because they're not going to have the depth of systems that I would like to see in a CRPG. But you have that with any genre. Whenever there's a certain popularity, you see a whole bunch of other games pop up, some of them good, some of them not that good. But the important thing is that they're being made again. And for a long time they weren't being made anymore. So I prefer it actually that we get an oversaturation, because in an oversaturation you will have the great games coming out, which is what I would like to play. And if there's none being made, well, then the innovation and progress is impossible if nothing is being done. Right? So I prefer a lot of them being made.
I feel bad, I'm keeping you away from the game.
It's okay. I'll just, so we just made a little comment here about stealing in general, but I'm going to lock the door here. And we're going to look at this guy, and he's not looking at it, which is great. So we'll. I missed it, and he didn't see it. By Jove! All right, take this. All right, so
that's going to get his attention.
Yeah, so he thinks it was an accident still. All right, so he reacted to it, but he burned and he died. All right, which is great. So because now I can take everything he has. Oh, and this is really good. And I can take my key back, which I wanted to take from him. All right. So I can pretty much. So here's the thing about Original Sin. Because we did this cooperative multiplayer mode, in which any player can be at any place in the world, we had to make sure that the game catered for the craziness of one player, whereas the other player might be on a quest. You know, like, I'm going to go and find the mystery of the Troll King, and I was supposed to do it for the guy which just left there, but if you would have murdered him, the game has to keep on working. So we call that N+1 design, and so we catered for everything that we could think of that players might be able to do, plus an extra opportunity, the fallback, so you could always finish the game. And you'll find that if you fool around with the systems in the game, which is a lot of fun to do, that there's always a solution, no matter what you're going to, well, if we do our jobs correctly, no matter what you can think of, you will always find there is a solution. Some of them might be very hard and complicated because you really ruined it. I mean, you can't expect, if you destroy the entire village, that you're going to find the information which the villagers have, unless, of course, you go looking in their cellars, or you find their secrets, or you read their books, and so forth. All right, so I'm going to show you another example. So we just killed this guy, so that wasn't very nice of us, but okay, it had to happen. And we'll go and try to demonstrate a little bit more of combat, but especially how to avoid combat and how to fool around with the RPG system which is under there. So one of the things I like to say about Original Sin is it's perfectly possible to play for hours without entering a single combat, actually. Just by exploring, doing choices, avoiding combat also. And avoiding combat can be a lot of fun. All right, let's go forward. So these are Immaculates, and they're not going to let me through. And so I can try to charm, intimidate, or reason with them. We have these social stats, which you can see here. Charm, intimidate, reason. So they're fairly low now. But each situation like this has a certain bonus to your roll, depending on what's applicable for the situation. So I happen to know that it's charm here. And so the guy says, yeah, it's okay, you can go through. And so go through we will.
Now there's some unusual circumstances that come up, and I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but you do get circumstances where as the lead, as the character I'm controlling, I go up to somebody and I have my statement. I have the way I want to go, and then another party member comes out and says, "Oh, I don't know. I actually think we should do it this way." And then there's sort of a dice roll. If there's a difference of opinion, somebody has to win out in the end. How does that work? Both in the single player and in cooperative play.
Well, I'm going to show you an example. Hold on. I think we're going to meet a goblin trader soon. He's somewhere here in the dust storm. Here's a troll that you can see.
God, that's
another troll. He was guarding this bridge, but it didn't work out very well.
It's a freaky kind of sight too. I look at that and I think I almost would have missed the troll in a kind of a strange way. He's part of the landscape now.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're going to meet spiders clearly. Oh, there they are. Okay, so let's talk to this guy here, right?
So it's got a little dusty.
Yeah, maybe I should explain what's going on here. So we're slowed here. That's the boot, because there's a dust storm going on. So our action points will be divided in two. And this particular guy here, Kadraskas, he's a goblin trader, right? So he's got really cool loot, all right? So, but he's not a very nice person, and I can ask him about the storm or who or what are you. And as I'm talking, and I've seen the spider webs here, I can ask him about spiders. So he says, well, I can travel here. I know how to deal with spiders, right? So I can say, well, you know what? Tell me also how I should deal with spiders. And he says, well, you'll have to give me 500 gold. So I can intimidate, charm, or reason again with him. So in this particular case, we're out in the open, in the desert, and we're a group of 4, and he's on his own with his beast of burden. What would you do?
Me? You want me to make a choice?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, he seems pretty belligerent, but I'm gonna see if he's got, maybe he's got a brain up there. So let's go with reason. As a source hunter, I must request that you comply with my investigation.
Well, you don't know this, of course, because I barged you into it, but there are not very popular source hunters around here.
Oh well. Now you're pushing me.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll raise with him.
Let's do reason anyway.
Well, actually, it worked. Look at that. You can't blame a business goblin for trying. Here's what I know. Spider Queen is not so different from any other monarch. That's to say, she loves a little sweet talk. All right. So he's basically telling me that I can talk to the Spider Queen, which is kind of handy. But obviously, a Spider Queen is she's an animal. And if I talk to animals, they don't really answer me. Game has a...
Not usually, anyway.
Yeah, so I have a talent. I'm leading up to it. It's called
Oh,
Pet Pal.
gosh, I didn't know that's actually where you were going. That was when I played the alpha, that was one of the first talents I got.
Yeah.
And then I actually made it a habit to just go around and talk to as many animals as I could.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of animals.
There are.
And I was surprised that there was so much animal dialogue for, considering that there would be a lot of people that will never, ever see that it's even there.
I promise on my communion heart, we did a lot of effort for making sure that everything actually has a value in the game. So Pet Pal is a very valuable one to put points in, because
right.
you'll I don't know, I can't quantify, but there's really a lot of quests that start out from animals, or like in this particular case, we're going to find out a secret when we'll follow up on it if we ever manage to get to the other sides.
Dogs know a lot about their owners. That's why if you take this perk early on, you discover that very quickly.
Yeah.
So their dogs know a lot about their owners, and they have good noses, and they can sniff some things out for you. You know how to use them.
Yeah.
That's just a hint for those that are kind of investigating early on. I won't say more than that, I promise.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I mean,
it helps me out anyway.
And the thing is, that's really the very beginning of the game, right?
Yeah,
so that follows up quite far. If you take that particular route, because there's that N+1 design thing, there's plenty of other routes that you could take to go through it. And the dog is one of them, where Pet Pal really helps. So here we have an example of what you were alluding to. So Ralphie, the Warlock here, has asked me to kill his master, because it's a bad master, right? So I can say, you know what, no. Goblin bears no grudge, and we cannot do him harm.
He was just nice. I mean, why would, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But look at Scarlet, she looks a little mean. When you look at, she's scowling a little.
So she's going to say, okay, well, you know what, no, we're going to free the Warlock, right?
I'm totally with that.
So now is a discussion, that's the thing that you were talking about. So now we are going to try to charm, intimidate, reason each other, all right? So this is the discussion system in the game. And you can roleplay it when you're playing it in single player with yourself.
Which I do. I have a thing that I build up for every character. Like I have, personalities that I
Yeah.
give all of them, sort of based on just what they look like.
And that's exactly
And
what we're
that's-
trying to do.
yeah.
Yeah. That's the purpose of the system. So here I would say would be rash to act only on this mount's testimony. So you would say,
Oh, if I were Scarlet,
mm-hmm.
I'm intimidate for
Yeah?
Scarlet. Yeah.
All right, and you win this one. So there's still a little animation missing here, but you rolled against me. There was no bonus, you won. So, but here's the thing now. We're playing multiplayer, right? I just said, okay, that's how we're going to handle. The party agreed, but I can be an ass. All right, so what I'm going to
There's
do
still
is...
some player agency, and you can still
Yeah.
go back on
Yeah,
your...
there you go. So I just decided to attack him anyway. All right. So we're going to, all right.
Now, I might be getting ahead of myself. You're probably getting here anyway, but
Yeah.
how is that now going to affect how things play out? If I can say one thing and then simply take another course of action, how is that now going to affect my relationships with my party members or with the characters around me?
I'm going to make this sign here, right? So we have this thing which is called affinity and affection. You have to imagine that you have this axis like this.
Okay.
And so you have affinity, that's do we agree politically, philosophically, ethically. And so
Okay.
it's going to put us somewhere on that axis versus one another. And then we have affection. Do we like each other? We can disagree about everything, but we can like each other a lot.
Okay.
Or we can agree about everything, but still dislike each other.
So everybody sort of falls somewhere in this realm.
And depending on where you are, your relation is going to have a different impact on the storyline, and actually also on how the story is going to end. So there's going to be, at the end of the game, there's multiple endings based on the relation between the characters, and but that's going to pan out as you progress.
Sure. How easy is this for me to figure out as a player? Because even when I started, I found that, like I was making decisions, I was doing things in dialogue, and I would see like +1 to little personality traits and so on and so forth. But I didn't necessarily know how, in the long run, how this was going to be affecting the world around me. Is part of it supposed to be a mystery so that I can't necessarily game the system around me and do things that I think is the right thing to do?
Yeah, we try to avoid min-maxing it. So you start playing, you say, I'll do this because I'll max this, I'll min this, but oops, we lost the image there. Oh. It's, sorry.
That's all right, that's fine. Our beautiful faces are up in the stream for now.
I don't know what happened just
maybe
now.
a lock, a crash. Oh, there we are, we're back.
No, we're okay, we're okay. Sorry. So,
Alphas, what are you gonna do?
So we put it on, there's so many of them and it's so complicated as a system that eventually you just start playing your natural roles.
Sure.
And the game reacts on it, and you'll notice that it's the term we like to use is organic questing, organic storytelling, because it's very systemic. There's still a lot of scripting going on. So, and they interact, if we do our job correctly, beautifully with one another to give you that experience. It's your story basically, the one that you crafted. Because I could have been like the maniac, kleptomaniac basically, right? I'm stealing everything, which gets us into trouble. Right, and you could have been the Good Samaritan. You're trying to help everybody, right? And so the interaction between those two things is going to have a logical consequence in the way that the story is going to pan out and the things that are going to happen in the world. And you always be to say, we got into this situation because we did this and that, which is a good RPG story when you're doing it well. So that's what we're trying to do, and I think we're managing to succeed. Anyway, let me progress because I still would like to show a few things before you throw me off the stream.
I get worked up. There are so many things that I want to know. Sometimes
just keep on asking me. That's So this guy tells me about a shaman which is using a totem in a goblin village to his advantage, the goblin village from which this goblin came, all right, which we just murdered. There's also something to be said about it, so let's have a look. This is one of those affection dialogues I was telling you about. So Scarlet say, what a killing blow you delivered. And I can say, yeah, cheers, I handled myself like the best of the best. And then you can say, oh there, I wouldn't go that far.
I like the second one. She strikes me as somebody who'd have some...
Okay, so you're born source hunter and that's a fact. And
she's still going to like you, I think, even though she didn't necessarily want to...
Yeah, there you go.
Like your approach.
Exactly.
She still appreciates you for your combat prowess.
Yeah, that's
At least that's how I see. This is the thing. Like now that I've spent time with Scarlet already in the game, I already know who Scarlet is. But Scarlet to me might be somebody very different than Scarlet.
Yeah, and you don't have to be Scarlet, right? You have free character customization,
Right.
so you can be any character that you want. Basically, there's so as you want.
It's a good time to get back to character portraits. Not enough games that have static character portraits that you get to choose for your character, right?
Yeah,
so
true.
This is back to Baldur's Gate times.
That's
And obviously Ultima 7 times is in.
Yeah.
That's going back even further than I think a lot of people watching the stream would go. Even if they were around for Baldur's Gate 2, they may not necessarily go as far back as to have the
7,
Ultimate connection.
Well, what they wouldn't have is I don't think that since Ultima 7 we had such freedom in an RPG world
Right.
anymore, and which is very much what we're trying to create. That's why we have all these interactions with objects, the reactions to it, and plenty of puzzles, traps, mysteries to explore, and so forth.
This is unrelated. And I promise I'll let you get back. I'm just kind of curious. Now that you know that Richard Garriott is working on
Shadow of the Avatar.
That he's working on a system, are you excited to see what he can put together now that Ultima seems so far behind us in a way? Is it
of
time
course.
for him to bring Ultima back?
Of course, I'm very curious to see that. When Shadow of the Avatar actually had their Kickstarter campaign, when we had our Kickstarter campaign, so we did shout-outs for one another, and we were in contact with one another. So I'm really curious to see what is going to happen.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you. I could
okay.
sit here and talk shop with you on the stream all day long, but I know you have things that you must do. So back to the spider fight.
All right, so we're dealing with a spider, but we're handicapped. We're all slowed, so we only have half our action points, which is really not a lot. I have only 4 action points. I can almost do nothing. So I really need to find a way of dealing with the storm, or otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. On top of it, these spiders can burrow. And this spider is apparently intelligent. I don't know. Oh no, he's not. He's stupid. All right, I thought he was going to go for my mages, but he's going for my warrior, which is not the most clever thing.
Well, he might think that your warrior's alone, so therefore it's a perfectly fine.
You can't see him yet, yeah. And that failed, which is unfortunate because I really don't have a lot of action points. So I need to get these guys into combat, or close enough, so that they can do something, because they're range limited also. So, and this is just one spider, so if ever I have to see multiple spiders, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. And, sorry, I thought he was going to go for the mages. So that's not very nice of him.
See, he's smarter after all than you gave him credit for.
Yeah, but the problem with all the systemics is I never know what's going to happen. Okay, maybe I can, I think I can fear it. Yeah.
It's hard to scare a scary thing, right? Like, spiders are pretty scary on their own. How do you scare off a spider? Pretend to be a bird? I don't know.
I don't have any polymorph skills on me, which is a pity. Okay, so otherwise we could try. Well, not really. Oh yeah, actually I can pretend to be a bird. Hold on. Let's do that.
Really now? I'd like to see that. That would be new for me. I was just being not very funny. I didn't know that there was actually going to be an option.
No, but I'm spinning it a bit here because I'm just going to do my Phoenix dive on him. So that puts me into bird position. But he can't burrow. Oh, and now he was really doing. Oh, actually, I did. It's just the icon is not showing.
Oh, okay. So he is scared right now.
Yeah.
He was just trying to get out of the way as far away from danger as he felt he could.
Exactly. So that was my Phoenix dive. So that's my bird thing. So
nice jump.
Okay.
So I'm curious, looking at this world, and somebody you did that was great actually. You did better than you expected to.
I did.
So this coming up from a few other people, and of course some people saying, oh, the action bar reminds me of Fallout, and of course this world is the Divinity world. It takes place in Rivellon and so on.
Yeah.
But obviously you're doing fantasy, and you're doing fantasy in a way that it in essence takes a lot of tropes that we're familiar with. In this case, killer spiders, and we've seen
goblins, trolls,
taverns, and goblins and trolls. Where do you think the line is between going something that's familiar and then being so familiar that you sort of land in cliche territory? What do you do to keep things fresh so that people don't think, oh, I feel like I've been in this place 1,000 times already?
I think that's a hard question because we get confronted with it often. I mean, like you're doing medieval fantasy, high fantasy, and obviously there's a lot of high fantasy out there. But it's not because it's been done before in terms of like you're in this world that it's a bad thing to do. On the contrary, there's a reason why people like to read a lot of fantasy. If you go to, I don't know if you have Borders over here or a big bookstore, you're going to find plenty of fantasy books. So there's
you walk in and you see dragons on the cover of 100 books in front of you.
There you go. So
how do you know which is the best dragon book to buy? Like that's one of the questions.
That's your job.
They all, exactly. But you have something like this, and I imagine that you still want Divinity. You know, let's say I don't know anything about Divine Divinity, Beyond Divinity, or even Divinity 2, and I'm looking at this. I see it on Steam, or I live somewhere where it's actually going to appear on a shelf somewhere, and I see this, and I think, what do you think is going to be, you know, in terms of the world, in terms of the theme and the way everything looks? What do you think it is that makes, you know, Rivellon different, you know, than say, I don't know, I can't come up with anything other, you know, than say Earth or whatever. Or is this a bad question?
No, it's not. No, it's a fair question. I mean, it's we tried much more with this one, I think, than with any of our previous games. We tried to make a very consistent world. And hold on, let me just manage to do this here. So I'm managing. So this is an example of why you would want to split up your party, right? This is the only sneaker I have.
Sure.
And he's managing to get past these spiders.
It seems like the game does a really good job of telling you where you can and can't go to attract their attention. And
I might have missed it, but I put points in my ability of sneaking, so it decreased the cone of sight that they had, and they couldn't hear me also.
Your rogue is a survivor. He will stay alive at all costs.
That's the idea. So to come back to your question about, we try to put a lot of consistency in our world. We try to put in a slight amount of not taking ourselves too seriously. So we're not going to go like, you are the sword of Amon-Ra, and he who has the sword of Amon-Ra must bend, and so forth. We're not going to do that.
I'd say you also have a little bit of mysticism, I think, that differentiates it from the usual kind of magic, like the teleporter pyramids, for example, are kind of an example. You've got the usual things, but you've also got things that seem a little more, to me, seem a little more mystical than magical. It's sort of hard to explain what I mean by that, because a lot of people would say, oh, that's the same thing. But to me, actually, they're not quite the same
thing. You're actually 100% right. Also, there's I mean, but that's the culture in our office, you know. I mean, and in the end, the game is the expression of the culture of your team, and so there's a lot of references that are going in there. If you see where things are coming from, and you know all the roots of it, and that's where you're going to get that. It's a very tough question, actually, to give a short answer to.
Well, of course, you're also a little bit beholden to the way you've built this world before, and this world's been around a while. I mean, I know a lot of people may not necessarily have played Divine Divinity, but I remember exactly where I bought the game, where I was, and I remember sitting down at the food court in the mall to open the box and look at the manual and so on and so forth. And I remember the cover, the wings and so on and so forth. So
cool.
But you know, you have to sort of stick by some of the rules that you set up quite some time ago, right? And does that? Yeah. Do you ever find yourself in a position where you almost wish you could escape some of those older, you know, sort of older bounds that you put on yourselves, or do you just simply? Are there cases where you just have to say we have to ignore something that we've done before, you know, for the basis of making something good now?
It happens for sure, and we try to work around it, but it's hard because when we made Divinity 1, we never thought it was going to be like this entire series. I mean, Divinity 1 sold quite a lot, and there was really a lot of people playing it, and there are people out there who know the lore much better than I do. Right. So it's like, my God, you know, it's. But then again, Tolkien, for instance, I don't want to compare myself to him because that's. But I read a story about him where he said like he started getting letters. Mr. Tolkien, it's impossible that Frodo is there at that moment because the moon couldn't have been like that, because they were calculating where the moon was, you know. Right. So there's a limit to how far you go as a creator, and that's it. And we try to make sure that everything makes sense. Occasionally we do a little bit of historical rectification, but we're managing like. Often in the past we didn't, like here we do give a lot more background and history to things because of the type of game that it is, and it allowed us, like we had this imp historian in Divinity 1 who gave you your teleporter pyramids. In this game you're going to find out a lot more about him. Actually we have, if we hit this button we're going to go to him, and he's going to explain us a little bit more where our pyramids come from, who he is, and so we're going to learn things about him, which when you would play the original game again, it's saying, oh yeah, that makes sense. So, but
Sure.
we didn't know that back then. We know it now.
Right.
So that's, I mean, that's the only honest answer to that. I want to show you something here. So
By all means, I keep getting things, just getting you distracted.
yeah, it's okay.
but-
So she's not gonna make this fight, right? So I'm gonna make her flee from combat. It's yet another perk. And so she's teleported to the closest waypoint or tavern, and he is going to try to do the thing with the spider. All right. So he has Pet Pal. I think I gave him Pet Pal, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's got Pet Pal. So he's gonna go talk with a boss creature actually. It's the spider matriarch here, and he's just gonna walk up to her and he's gonna say, "Hey, how's it going?"
I was just saying he's going to say, "Hey, how's it going?" Isn't he? That's-
So I'll actually, and I know now that if I charm, that's where I'm going to get my situational bonus from.
Okay.
Because I talked to the Warlock, which for whom I killed the goblin, who was the trader that we murdered. And so that's how I know, like a charm has
Oh,
a
that charm dialogue! Holy cow! She's got to know she's ugly, right? She can't possibly think that you're called.
well,
I
and
mean, are spiders self-aware? Do you suppose? Do you think they know that they're hideous? Anyway, let's find out if she falls for
does
it.
the spider
I'm
have
curious.
a soul? That's an interesting question. All right, I want to show you something first. I have my
Okay.
social ability at 0, I think, on charm. So I'm going to put in as much points as I can, but that's not a lot, 3. So I'm going to try it, but I think it's going to fail. It's a low roll. No. Be that as it may, I must learn to respect my station, and we're going to get into this.
She's not going to have any of that.
She's not going to.
Apparently, she does know she's ugly.
Well, actually, it's possible. So, I mean, you can completely avoid this fight if you want, but you have to invest heavily into your social stats. And so now she's going to start doing all of this, and that's really miserable.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And then she's going to make it rain poison, and then these things are going to heal in the poison, and then she's going to do poison attacks. It gets really miserable. And these spiders, these red ones, they explode. So
I think he's in trouble.
yeah, so that's why we're going to use this one here. But
Excellent news.
we did not leave everybody behind, so we're going to, it's Jahan, right? We're going to just avoid the spiders.
And I see over here you're using the interface very simply to sort of attach characters together so that
Yeah.
when you issue commands, the game knows which characters are supposed to now follow that command.
Yeah, that's it. So here I want to show you something about perception, because I forgot it every single time. So I'm going to, unfortunately, I wanted to avoid it, but I'll do it nonetheless. Who's got the pyramids? All right. So this man here, I'm going to invest his remaining points in perception. It's going only 9, but I think okay, this one gives me perception +1, leadership +1, right? So I'm going to wear it. I have perception 10. I happen to know that that's the perception check which I need here. And the reason I did it is, bloody hell, it's not enough. Okay. It was enough on the other one, but not on this one. I forgot to do it there. Normally I would see which roll I would get as a bonus on Intimidate, Charm,
Right.
Reason. All right, well, I know the right one here is we bring gold and goods for trading. So we're not gonna, so see, situation bonus 25 to Reason. So we now got into an entire quest because of Charm, Intimidate, Reason. Had we failed, we would have been fighting this entire village. So that's how shall I say, casual we sometimes have questing and scripting going on in here. So the problem that we have here is that we have to survive the test of the totem over here. So let me take Roderick, he's had his perception highest. So this is a totem. And Totem is going to ask me questions, and the questions is that he's going to ask me, if I meet 2 soldiers on the strip of a beach and they are drunks, should I accept their orders or should I stay true to my course? Now you might, if you played the early access version over one of the early versions, you meet those 2 soldiers in
Yes,
the very
that
beginning
happens
of
at
the
the very
game.
beginning of the game. Yeah.
So he's referring to that actually, and he wants me to know if I would accept their orders or if I would stay true to my course. Now the problem here is, I find lore earlier on about this tribe of goblins, and I know what their morals are. So, and he is only going to accept me if I stick to their morals. Anyway, if I stick to their code of conduct, and if I don't, then he's going to issue an order to all of the goblins that they should eat me. So I can tell him I would accept their orders, and Scarlet has to go through. So we even had to agree on that when we were back in the in the case. So hold on, I would slap his hands. Yeah, so this was about the fish thief, which you find in the beginning of the game. And this one is about the beast of burden, which you remember
we saw just a short while ago.
Yeah. But another one actually, where Jehan was in the beginning, I didn't do that. So,
okay.
But I would go to great lengths to save it, so would I. So he says, well, you spoke truly, I may not be speared, and I'm free to walk out, and they do their little dance, and they're all happy.
So how close do you have to get to their, do you have to get them all right, or do you have to meet a certain, like you have to get 2 out of 3 right for them to leave you alone?
All of them.
Okay.
But, so we had a combat solution for this quest. We had the past conduct solution for a quest, and then answering truthfully. Or, this guy has high perception, right? So, he found something. You see what happened there? That the rock disappeared, and he found a little pressure plate. There's a different solution this way. So let's go and do that.
And a new area.
Yeah, it's well, it's a small area. I mean,
right, but it's still a new area. It's something I might have missed. There's so much in this game, of course, that you might never know exists because you went down a certain path.
And that's why I'm showing it. I'll show you another one in a second. Also, it's exploration is rewarded. It was already the case in the first Divinity, but here we really want to reward you for exploring and discovering things, but also for investing in your character into certain stats. Well, as mentioned, like this guy here, he's tricking the entire village. He's talking through this strange contraption, and he's speaking for the totem, basically. So that's his thing. And so I can ask him about it, and I found out about this from the mount which I encountered because I helped it. If I wouldn't have had Pet Pal, not have aided it, I would have had a very high perception to discover this trap, or otherwise I would just not know about it, and I wouldn't have this solution available to me. So I can basically tell them goblins deserve to know they are being controlled by a fraud, and I'll be the one to tell them, or I'm in no mood for a fight. So I'll just say him that I will tell the goblins. So he gets into a fight. Now this is a badass fight, but I am going to use my cheat again, which allows me to one-shot him. So I get all of his loot. And now I can actually give commands to the goblins. So I can tell them, go dance, or shower the source hunter with gifts, goblins. Or you will be friends to a source hunter.
This is kind of great, actually.
Okay, shower the source hunter with gifts. So let's go there. And so if I, doesn't he? I thought he had one, never mind. All right, let's go out. And let's see what gifts they bring me. So hopefully they are going to bring us gifts. And everything is going to work. There he is. That's Sakan Sadak. I don't know where they come up with these names, but he tells me we placed a chest of our finest treasures, and I can also trade with these guys. I couldn't do that before, so that's part of the fact that I was accepted by the totem. I now have this little quest hub, which I opened up, which, remember, it started with a charm, intimidate, reason. Now the goblins are not extremely very nice people, so when they give a chest with treasure, they give me junk basically. So it's not that I gained that much from them. I got a guitar though, and a fishing rod. So anyway, I can get out of here now. So I'm going to use it to my advantage because, oh yeah, I forgot to do this actually. We didn't meet this guy. Hold on, let's send Scarlet there. Remember, I'm still looking for that Troll King.
Sure.
All right, so...
now as you go out, let me ask you a question too, because Lopi's brought this up, and certainly in Divinity 2, but your status as a Dragonborn is a very important plot point, and you spend a lot of that game actually riding around on dragons. Can you, on a dragon, I should say.
Yeah.
Or, well, actually, that's not really exactly
you are
what it is,
dragon.
but you are a dragon, and you can, you know. But anyway, enough of that. So that's a big plot point, obviously.
Yeah.
But here, you know, we're going to be seeing some dragons. Are we going to be being some dragons? Are we going to, you know, what's the driving force behind our adventure?
Well, we start out. Well, I'm not going to answer the dragons thing. Okay. You know, there was another game that didn't want to answer about its dragons until very late. Ah, shit, the spiders.
Even though it was right there in the name of the game. So, I'm gonna think I know what game you're talking about, but I could be wrong. But anyway,
so the thing that drives you forward, you start with a simple murder investigation. You very quickly discover that much more is going on. And then a lot of it has to do actually with yourselves, and so. But I don't want to. I have to start saying spoilers if I do that.
Well, don't spoil anything. You You can keep it. Just say whatever it is that you're willing to say. I'm not gonna.
You're going to you're source hunters, right? So you're going to discover the secrets of the source, basically, which you can expect, I guess, given that we have a plot set up with source hunters.
And it's in their name.
No, it's not in
They're
their
hunting
yeah.
source.
They're hunting source, but it's very different from what you would think that it's going to be. So
Okay.
you're going to get quite some plot twists popping up. All right.
Spoilers. There are plot twists.
Yeah. All right, I need to get rid of this bloody spider before they kill my guy. So conclude.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I didn't expect, but that's because I triggered a boss fight, right? So this lone spider here, but I can manage one
Nobody
spider.
suspects the Spider Inquisition.
So let me just get rid of it because I would like to show you something with this guy. All right, I talked to him already. He was telling me about his imp, which pushed him off this cliff here. As he was looking for Bloodstone. So he's an Immaculate, by the way. Bloodstone is a big thing for these Immaculates. They can heal people with it. And how am I going to do it? Hell attack, yeah. So also, you're not hearing sounds on all of these skill effects, like it's because we're still putting this stuff on top of it. Oh, it's frozen. Oh, I killed it.
You killed
even
it,
better,
yeah.
even better.
Fine.
Shit, the eggs are in there also. All right, I'm going to cheat, all right, because it's going to take me some. Because if I move closer to the eggs, and they're going to become spiders, and then I'm going to be attracted, and then the big spider boss is going to join in, and then all hell will break loose, and I'm going to lose, and I won't be able to show you. So I'm going to just hit my cheat button here. So the spiders are now dead. So, and hopefully this is going to work. No, I'm going to kill you too. I'm going to kill you too. All right. No, because you're going to just attract more misery, and it's going to. Okay. So I exploded him, and hopefully that'll be it. Okay, good. Let's not go too much to the north. Anyway, so as I was saying, this guy, he wants me to find back the imp that stole the bloodstone from him. It was his slave, and heal him with that bloodstone.
Okay.
Which, so I'm not going to do that. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do to show you that N+1 thing and how multiplayer actually affects it, I'm going to accidentally, well, maybe I'll just remove you a little bit so that you're not standing into. Go here, all right, okay. So,
Now, somebody asking, I just want to clarify for somebody asking about the swirly thing. That's not actually the, I've selected the characters and it always does that. That's actually a status effect.
Yeah.
Okay, that's clear to folks.
All right, so I killed this quest giver here. All right, and I'm going to drop one of my pyramids here on the floor, actually, so I can teleport back later on, because I kind of think it's an important thing for me because we spend a lot of attention on it on design while developing the game. You'll never notice it if we did our job correctly, but it's nice pointing it out. All right, so let's bring everybody back to the village. So let's go there, and we're going to go off and do the quest, which we got from this guy, which is now dead. So we can't do it for him anymore. But the thing is that he told us about a certain Maradino, and you don't know this, but in my lore that I learned about my Troll King, Maradino was an important name because apparently he was the only guy who managed to enter Fairy, and Fairy is one of the regions that you can enter in the game. So we're going to go to Fairy basically, all right? And so we're going to go where the guy told us that he was pushed off from the imp. That's my fire elemental that died over there. So we're leaving a mess behind. And so we're going to need a little bit of perception. So he said here, this is the last place where the imp was. There you go. That's the stone slab. And we found an entire different area again.
Ooh.
So we're going to go in and we're going to start investigating this.
Reeks of stagnant magic, according to Roderick there.
He's got special smell, right? So there's plenty of stuff to go and explore here and plenty of secrets, but in the sake of my presentation, I'm going to... People who are playing this, watching this stream are going to be majorly spoiled, okay, so we have a magic lock here. This is a reference to Ultima 7, obviously. Purple locks on doors are magical locks. It's locked. I can try to destroy doors, actually. I mean, I didn't show that, but you can destroy most of the things that you see. But this is a particular door that's not going to work on, so I just put it on fire. You got a little bit of a clipping bug there. So let's see how we can solve this quest, okay? So we're going to go in. Well, there are two characters here. I'll leave Scarlet at the door and investigate this area. So it's a lot of exploration, right? I mean, we didn't get a lot of combat yet, so which is part of the fun, I think, in the game. So here's an imp with a inferiority complex. And he's the imp that Frederick, the guy that I killed, was talking about. So he's really afraid of him, and I can tell him basically he doesn't know what to do. Should he stay here, but he's all alone in the cave, or should he go outside, face up to the music? Now I know that his master is dead, but I'll tell him, you know what? Time to face the music, Yox. And he says, yeah, sure, okay, I'll go there. All right. So
sorry, the animation made me laugh.
he's rather funny, isn't he? So he walks out of my field of view, so I can't see him anymore. But I left a teleporter pyramid there, or you have it, right? Let's see. So let's go there and see what happens when he sees his master. And you're going to say you did this for the purpose of the presentation, and I'll tell you, no, it's not true. Because I have to make sure that if you were playing in multiplayer and you would be standing next to the guy's body, you would see something that makes sense, and so you could tell to me, hey, I've seen this imp pass by, and I would say, yeah, that's the imp I sense, and so yeah, well, I just killed his master, because that's what I would have done.
Right.
So because he was an Imagla, so and he reacts to it. So this is, and you will see when you're playing the game, and you obviously see it more if you're playing it in co-op, that we try to make sure that everything reacts in a logical way, and off he goes, and he's fire resistant, by the way.
You have to be prepared that players will see things. And I mean, because in a traditional RPG, for example, he's just going to go off, and everything's just going to change in the game world, right? You actually have to carry these things out to their logical conclusion.
Yes, that's one of the advantages of making this a co-op RPG, actually. And we were forced into making everything like this consistent. That's why it's taking us so long to develop it. Also, it's probably our most ambitious RPG ever, but it's gives you this really nice, almost, I don't know how to, I still haven't figured out a good name for it, because it's strongly story driven with a lot of scripting going on, but it's also extremely systemic because of the multiplayer, and they blend together. So in a very, organic is probably the best way that you can say.
I think role-playing game might be actually the best thing I can come up with for that, because that does sound like what I want. You've got a story that keeps you invested, but you also get to make your own, sort of make your own story as you go through, and that's the best kind, right? Yeah,
that's the idea, actually. So. Yeah, that's the entire vision behind it. All right, so here again, exploration, right?
Oh dear, but now you're fighting evil plant.
Yeah, and I don't have
a Rafflesia.
All right, I need my Earth Mage here. Let's send her here. Okay, you go over there. So as we're waiting for her to arrive, she's going to join combat. So this could be you in multiplayer, right? So I zoomed out maximally here. We're going to. This is an Earth. Yeah, this is going to be Earth magic. All right. Okay, let's see. You know what? I'm going to give it water.
You don't water evil plants.
I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know what it's stuff. So yeah, if I press the control key, I can see their resistances here. I see question marks because I don't have I didn't put points into lore. So if I would put, hold on, where is the lore master? Let's do that on him. Only 2 points of lore is not going to teach me a lot about it. Nothing actually. All right, so I wanted to freeze him. So let's see what happens. I'm going to put, since we have one, we're going to put an Earth Mage, Earth Elemental here. 2 mages against 1 plant. Who's going to win? And a badass Earth Elemental. Okay.
I don't know, I've seen some pretty rough plants in my day.
He's cheating. He's getting...
Oh no, he's summoning in more plants.
Yeah, so that's cheating. That's not nice. And okay, he's not resistant to Earth, so that's going to help. Well, yeah, I can imagine why Knockdown is failing, which is a pity because that's one of his perks.
They're sort of tied to the ground. They're rooted, as it were. See what I did there? Get it? That's why we say rooted.
Maybe I can.
Cone ability there, but is it? But now you're in a position where you could strike your own elemental too, right?
Yeah, that's my problem. So I'm going to. I wonder if that's going to work on it. Let's try.
I'm ready to find out.
Alright, so it's Bulver Dash. Oh yeah. Oh, Jesus.
See, this is what happens. You're not paying attention to the fact that there's something there.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. If this is fully, like, you've got line of sight collision stuff going on. If there's something in the way, your spell is going to hit the thing that's in the way.
And so
I don't know, why am I telling you that? You know that. I'm telling
well,
those people
actually,
out there that.
I like it because in the next version that's going on Steam Early Access, you'll see that you will preview the path. So you would have seen it. That you
Oh, that's good. That's actually a great. That's a great addition.
Yeah, but
I support this.
Yeah, me too. Because then it wouldn't have happened. But now I'm standing in the bloody poison, right?
Especially because it can be a little frustrating because you don't. Just because the visual is one thing, you don't necessarily know where the collision box is for that particular object. So
100% correct. They are annoying me, but now I can actually. I'm close enough, I think. Yeah.
I think you're going to pull this off. I'm ready. I'm ready for it to work.
Edit. Frozen plants. All right. Okay. And an ice surface. Well, the ice surface doesn't really serve any purpose here. Obviously, I need to get out of here, right?
Well, not unless the plant's going to grow legs and try to move around, right?
Yeah.
Do you have plants that do that in Rivellon?
You do, actually.
Oh, okay. So there you go. Rivellon's got
everything. No. Hold on. I have to. Okay, spend some extra points on this, and save more. 2 mages against the plant. Come on, how hard can it be? The thing is that if I kill this one, I'm killing the summons also. So, and this one is being attacked by this one, but doesn't really care because poison damage counts as earth damage, so he's completely resistant to it. So, it's just going to keep on hitting. But I could have used like, what am I doing? I mean, I'm not thinking through of my own game actually. I could have just brought you in here. You obviously don't have a permit, but you have a permit, right? You have both permits. You are stealer of permits. Okay, so
now for those watching, by the way, if if there's stuff that you've missed, and there's stuff about the game that we haven't even really hit on today, you need to go back and on GameSpot and watch more of, because we've done a Now Playing before. With the beginning, we've done other coverage of the game, so make sure to go back and take a look, because there's stuff that we're not even getting into, like the crafting, for example, and just the very simple.
I'll craft something for you.
Okay, yeah. I mean, one of the very first things you get to do is sort of another one of those little bits of humor actually is 9-inch nails, and then you actually get to combine nails with a board, and now you have a board with nails. But still, you have a board with nails that you've made, and it's all very simple. You just drag one thing into the other, and it's done.
I think fire is the better answer here.
There you go. Even I could have told you that. Fight ants with fire. Have fantasy games taught you nothing?
Well, I was just curious if I've never done it with. Come on, get out of the fire.
You want to try things out, right?
Yeah.
And that's actually the fun about the oh, see, now you're poisoned. That's actually one of the fun of the crafting system too, is that there's some reward for going in and just trying to put things together and see what might come out of it. Most of the time it's nothing at all.
Yeah.
But some of the time you actually come across something really interesting, and then suddenly it makes sense. All of it makes sense, and now you've got 3 plants.
Yeah, and I teleported one away. That's also something I've never tried before, so that's kind of cool. All right, I think this is over, this fight. I think this Rafflesia is going to be dead. Because I found the weak spot is clearly fire. It pays to invest in Lore Master actually, because then you find out, see, I killed them all together.
People want to see you walking on lava. Safely.
All right, so Fire Mage, I have
Bob Jones, as it were.
I have a Fire Shield Grandmaster. Oh, it was there already. All right. So let me make my own little lava pool here. I have to wait for my cooldown to be over. So we'll do that.
But you won't be swimming in lava, I assume. I assume you can't go quite that far. Or is there a?
There are potions, and I can get up to 100% resistance on fire for a limited time. So I would be able to walk over lava that way.
I am just. I mean, every time I think there's something that can't possibly be happening in this game, I come across something that actually can happen. Oh.
Yeah, I hit one of my companions.
Medora's not happy.
No, she's not. So the thing with the lava here is I would now put his fire resistance is up, and then he's going to walk over it, right? But it's already gone, because normally it's a turn-based, so simulate time is 6 seconds or so in real time, and a turn-based time, and my lava spell was only for a couple of turns. All right, I wanted to show you something here. Oh, look at that. I just destroyed his armor. How fantastic. Okay, so, no, I wanted to do it with you. Oh, but he has the shovel, right? I have a shovel with me. Gonna go.
Fantastic from a game design perspective, but perhaps not necessarily for the man who's lost his armor.
Yeah, but playing around with the durability of items can be to your advantage also. So you learn early on in the game that you can dig. And if you have high perception, this would have been highlighted for you. If you have low perception, you have to use your eyes. So if I just use my shovel here, I discovered a key. And that's obviously the key to the study. Now, you mentioned crafting, so I'm going to pick up a pumpkin. I'm going to take an apple also with me. And I think I'm going to take a tomato.
Okay, so I can see that you like vegetables.
I'm going to use it for a crafting, but I think that Madora, if I'm not mistaken, has all kinds of stuff with her junk. Well, what looks like junk. Oh yeah, all right.
It's also important for those that are started on the alpha to know that the inventory is actually character specific. So
yeah, so you can.
There's quite a bit of inventory management, and I think that's a good thing for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But there's definitely inventory management, and again, you really do go back to the Ultima days.
All right, so I'm going to give her a little bit higher crafting. And so, for instance, if I take two, why can't I move you, Madora? What are you doing? Oh, she has so much stuff in her inventory that I'm fooling around a little bit. Sorry. All right, let me try that again. All right. So, oh well, I made it here. I made a quarterstaff. So I used two branches together. That gets me a quarterstaff.
Okay.
All right. I use a pocket knife on a branch. That's going to get me an arrow. I am doing this from memory. Yeah, an arrow shaft. Oh, I still have to find this thing to put on top of the arrow. I need a hammer. Hammer on cooking pot. So a little bit of an inside joke. Gets me a battered cooking pot, which I can put on my head, and now I'm walking around with a cooking pot on my head. All right. So
because of course you are.
I think that's starfish. I'm going to try to make... do I have an MP potion? I do have an MP potion, so let me drag one over here, and let's see.
I was hoping you make a tomato sword, but I don't think that's really what tomatoes are for.
Stardust on...
Can you put a tomato sword in there just to make me happy? If you put in combine a tomato with a stick and make a tomato sword, I'd be the happiest person on earth.
All right. Tomato with hammer.
You are making a tomato hammer.
Where is it? Where is it? Oh shit! I should have made ketchup.
Oh my god! Of course you did.
There it is. Tomato sauce, right?
Tomato sauce.
So tomato sauce. Now
makes sense.
I can use tomato sauce, but do I have bread and dough? I can make pizza also, actually.
Oh god! Now I'm hungry. I think I'm gonna have spaghetti for dinner.
Let's see Madora here. Does she have bread and dough? I don't know if she has it. Wait a minute. No, empty cups, wooden logs. I'm sorry, I don't have the ingredients that I need. But you can, there's quite a lot of crafting ingredients which you'll discover, but you can also make your own skill books, for instance, to get more serious. So if you find scrolls, like this is a scroll, and skill books are very expensive in the game, so you can figure out a way of making them yourselves. You can make these arrows that I've been using. They are like really expensive, especially the explosive arrows. But with a little bit of crafting, you can start making your own. And so,
will I find recipes and
of course.
Will I find books that give me hints as to things I can...
we'll find one here in a second. Let's go and do that.
Oh, fun times. And of course, I know we're winding down soon. And before we do that, I want to make sure, because you guys just announced a little bit of a delay in the final release.
Yeah.
So and because people want to know, hey, obviously you can go out, you can play the alpha right now. It's on early access on Steam. Go ahead and pay how much if you want early access?
It's $39, and that's the price of the full game also.
The price of the full game. That gives you access to the alpha
All the
game
updates,
now, and everything else that they do. And of course, it gives you the full game once the full game is released.
You can play in multiplayer, and the editor is going to ship on early access also. So.
And if people are afraid of early access, how long do they have to wait?
We're saying spring. We don't want to say an exact date right now.
Ooh, there goes the PC.
Oh my God.
I'm good. All that because I just wanted to do air quotes. Okay, so they're saying spring.
Yeah. So we're saying spring because we've moved it already a few times. Obviously, you can see it's a big RPG, right?
Yes.
So it has a lot of stuff in there, and
it gets me so excited I'm knocking laptops off of my lap.
That's a quote, right? So let
I
me
can see the box quote now. Makes me so excited. I knocked a laptop off of my lap.
So, yeah, you're okay. Let me just.
People are happy with that. Somebody quoted Shigeru Miyamoto saying, "A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad."
Yeah, and that's very true. That's exactly the attitude, and that's what's possible because of Steam Early Access and Kickstarter. It allows us to take our time to do this stuff. So this is one of those books that gives me a recipe: elixir of courage, 1 apple and 1 pumpkin. You didn't know that, did you? So an apple and a pumpkin.
No, but I do now.
She doesn't. He doesn't. She doesn't have the. No! Well, I crashed the game.
I'm pretty sure that means Divinity Original Sin is a perfect 10, and you should all go back. Right? That's what that was. Right?
Well, that's a pity. I mean, just as I was winding down, indeed.
I know, right?
So the crafting has buggy. So that's why it's not out yet.
Pretty sure that's Dutch for our game is good.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, I think that's we can.
Wow, we've gotten to the end. That's very.
We have.
That's
No,
very
I
sad.
can.
I mean, you could go on forever, right?
Yeah,
But that's the thing with a big. It says IGN on the screen.
Sorry, I'm gonna.
You should have a save game. This is IGN when you come to GameSpot.
It's
I almost
just down
said
the street.
GameStop. I'm terrible. I don't even know where I work for.
I'm sorry.
But it's quite all right. No. I'm just teasing. We love IGN. They're right, right around the corner.
So sadly, I didn't have a save game that was going to bring me there. But yeah, I was going to get you to that Troll King quest, and now I can't do it anymore. So I'll give you a little world exclusive. Hold on.
Okay, give us a little exclusive before we have to say goodbye.
Right, so
but that's and then you can call the save game GameSpot, so that when you go to see, say, Games Radar, then
very good.
You can that's right.
All right, so here.
Okay. So now you've hit on something I love in games. So anybody that knows me and hasn't been watching GameSpot for any period of time, I love snow in games. There are not enough games that have snow. So show me. So do something cool in the snow.
Well, this is.
I mean, I'm fine if it's just walking around in the snow. I just think there needs to be more snow in games.
Well, I get on my own here into a fight with a bunch of alpha white wolves and a white wolves, and they just ate the white stack. Now, this white stack has been my friend for a long time in the game, so this is like, yeah, it's a consequence.
That's really rude.
Yeah.
Check that out. I mean, those wolves are.
Yeah, they're bad. And they're.
Or just hungry.
Possible. So I'm not going to say anything about this area. The only thing I'll tell you, it's like the dust storm you should be seeing here.
There's got to be some evil wizard in a tower, right? Changing all the weather and freaking people out. That's where these things always tend to go.
Come on,
but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
So
it's an evil wizard in a tower, I bet.
Check where my other party is. They are they're elsewhere.
They're elsewhere and they're warmer.
Elsewhere where it's warmer, right? So, but yeah, I mean, that's a teaser then. So this is a place called Hyberheim, and it comes after the things that we were doing before, and it's by far not at the end of the game. So it's quite a lot of diversity also as you explore any adventure. So I think that should be okay for, so yeah.
Okay, now I'm more excited than before now that I see that there's snow. I'm happy. And that's not just any snow, that's a blizzard.
You can get rid of the blizzard. There's ways that you can fix this for yourself.
Kill the evil mage in the tower.
Well, actually, it's going to take me too far. So I'll give you one example.
Just teasing you. I'm just making it up. I don't know.
Well, actually, if you find sources of heat, you're not going to be chilled anymore. And chilled is going to have is rather annoying also when you're walking around here. So you want to deal with those kind of things.
Well, Sven, I am so super grateful that you came by to show us the Original Sin. And another thing just to throw out there, because you can now get Divine Divinity and Beyond Divinity quite easily. Yeah. You can go out and just download it, pay a little money. It's not a whole lot.
It's very cheap.
And it's very cheap. You can go and get it, and you can go back to some older times, and plus it's just worth it, especially because now, obviously this is Ultima 7 kind of gaming, but the originals, the two originals, go a little bit closer to Diablo than this certainly does. This is far, so even though the perspective might be similar, you're actually talking about a very different kind of game ultimately.
Here,
think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
true?
yeah, for sure. I mean, the one thing that you had in the previous ones was exploration was rewarded. You had interaction with the environment, so much more so, I think, than you would have had in Diablo.
Oh, absolutely. So yes,
but it
you
had
can
a.
just move stuff around with your mouse pointer.
But here's
That's always
a little
fun.
secret for you. The original one was intended to be turn-based in multiplayer.
Wow.
Yeah, and then
Things changed.
publishers.
Publishers change things, but ultimately you did release a game, I think, with the original Divine Divinity that you can be proud of, plus that great box art and the name of a game that we can all make fun of for decades to come. So
That wasn't my fault.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm giving you a hard time. I actually love the name Divine Divinity.
You did?
Yeah, because it's.
Well, I grew fond of it, but it wasn't my first choice. Let's put it that way.
No, but thank you so much for coming by, Sven, and
you.
thanks to everybody for tuning in. It's always great to have you here for an episode of Now Playing.